this space, and they all have a very unique perspective to bring to us. And I'm so excited that all of you can join us. And we can start with introductions. Maybe just tell everyone your name, your organization, your role, and the countries that you work in.
Okay. Hi, ladies. I hope you are not sleepy. Okay. So, call me shortly May. The traditional Thai name is too long. Guys, some people call me Mathinee. Mathinee as a cocktail. Shanee. Japanese cannot pronounce my name. Mathinee, but just be May. It's fine. And I'm actually, my job is like diving, marine scientist, researcher, lecturers, all who done with like daily life. And I'm from Prince of Songkhla University, which is southern Thailand. I'm not sure, maybe some people already been Thailand and Phuket, got down, but mine is quite local. Mostly we almost same with the Muslim community, I can say that, because it's close with the border with the Malaysia, so can be easily across or driving. And then what else? My roles. My country, Thailand. Okay. Normally I just do like speaking with corals and deeper try to understand them. What they we call it the physiology is mechanism inside the corals that I'm exploring right now.
Hello, ladies. My name is Hanna Stewart, and I'm a marine scientist. I work with Coral Gardeners, which is a reef restoration organization that is headquartered in Moorea, French Polynesia. Yeah, woo. And we work in obviously French Polynesia, different islands, and we've Fiji and recently opened in Thailand. I also work for the University of California, Berkeley. I run a program, an island sustainability program that brings undergraduates for an immersive experience to learn about the culture and the ongoing initiatives in French Polynesia. So I do that, but I'm here as a representative of Coral Gardeners. And I'm Canadian and Irish citizen, but I live in French Polynesia and I've been working there for 25 years.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's My name is Paige. I'm here representing Coral Nurture Program. So we are a partnership. Okay. So we're a partnership between the University of Technology Sydney and tourism operators and traditional owners along the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. My position is as a postdoctoral researcher, so I conduct research on ways that we can optimise the propagation and outplanting methods that we are working with. But I also help manage the program across the two regions that we have in Australia, and hopefully a little bit more internationally into the future. Can I miss anything? Currently only Australia, although we have connections overseas that are going to be growing soon into the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Shermaine. I'm from Singapore, Oceanarium in Singapore. So I guess the aquarium, what I wanted to share about the aquarium is that we're currently really on a journey of moving from a space of being an attraction to establishing ourselves as a conservation hub, where there's so much resources in the aquarium, and I think that there's just a lot of opportunities for us to be a conservation institute. So my role in that is regional projects coordinator in the conservation and science team. So really building up partnerships in the region, setting up projects, evaluating them. And at the same time, we're also in the process of setting up a conservation fund. So this will be a whole other legal entity on its own as a charity. So yeah, that's what has been keeping me busy.
So hey guys, I'm super excited being here. It's such an honor and I'm so inspired by all of you. So I had many tears already during the yesterday and also today. I came all the way from Switzerland, but I've been a few weeks before in the country already, so I'm not jet lagged, don't worry. And yeah, so I'm from, let's call it Impact Startup Reefs. So we do have an NGO in Germany and we do have a corporate in Switzerland. And what we do is we bring back the three-dimensional structure and complexity of a coral reef habitat. So a bit different from those amazing ladies that are actually bringing back the corals with an active approach. We are more using a passive approach with natural recruitment. So yeah, you can always sometimes say we are like an underwater real estate. So we build new homes for corals, fish, and all the other reef-dwelling organisms because we strongly believe that we can not only look at the corals, but we need to bring back the whole reef habitat. So the system works especially in areas where we only have rubble left over and the reef has a hard time to come back.
And if you have any questions, just try to remember them, and at the end we'll have a brief Q&A, and if we can't get to your questions then you gotta chase these ladies down and ask them in person. Okay, first question. What role does science or technology have in your work and in your organization? And I want each of you guys to take time to answer each of the questions. So let's start with Hanna.
Okay, so science and technology in our work is really fundamental. One reason is because partly the team, half of it comes from marine science, but also because we believe we really need to have the scientific approach and all the monitoring to really understand the ecological processes better. And especially when you bring back artificial structures, you need to, you need to follow the process of your structure, right? It's not just, oh, I place something. You all know, you also do a lot of maintenance in your structures. That is something we're trying to solve with natural recruitment, that we do not necessarily need the maintenance and the cleaning in the reef. Yeah, so this is like one area that we are focusing on. But then another thing is that we incorporate students as well. So a lot of scientific work is done by graduates every year, which is amazing. And also super nice to see how people from various different fields, so engineering, social backgrounds, and marine science, are helping all together to do something for this precious underwater habitat. And then the technology is 3D printing, what we are using. It is for us a very good tool to prototype because you can easily change the codes to really have several different prototypes and models to try out. Then it also helps you to innovate and finally scaling. But to be honest with you, the 3D printing is still quite expensive. It's getting lesser and lesser in costs. But if you really want to scale, we need to start molding our structures, what we are working on. So that's the tech part that we are bringing in.
Thank you. Shanee.
Okay, I think science and technology plays a very huge role in many different aspects of the aquarium. I think, for example, for us, we have the opportunity and the privilege to hold these animals in our facilities, and it gives us the opportunity to study them. It gives us behavioral insights, and to do so, we make use of technology and applications that are meant to increase the efficiency of data collection. So, for example, one of the main ones that we use is called Monitor, and it's an app that is extremely user-friendly. It's free. You can use it to record the time energy budget of the species and the animal. How much time are they spending resting? How much time do they spend eating? Then from that, of course, we can push out publications. We can it better advises on conservation strategies in the wild, for example. So that's one. I think some other ways is that our aquarium recently launched a research and learning center, and within this center we have a research lab, and within the research lab there's capacities and technologies for long-term biosample storage, capacities for water quality monitoring, for genetic work, as well as independent automated tank systems that we can carry out experiments, for example, on spawning on. So I think that's also another way that we are incorporating technology in what we do. The other thing is on conservation breeding, and I think you can ask Nisha a lot more about this, but we're working and contributing towards Nisha's reshark project by donating our shark eggs, specifically the Indo-Pacific leopard sharks, because when our sharks breed, we have the eggs, and it's just a great opportunity to use them to rear and then release in the wild. So the issues with our shark eggs, just to share, is that a lot of them are like butternuts, so they are kind of clones from their parents. So what we're trying to do is artificially inseminate the semen from sharks and other from Australia, and then hopefully we can get a more genetically diverse shark eggs that can be releasable, that doesn't lead to inbreeding or lower like genetic diversity in the wild. Yeah, so just to name a few of some of the ways we've been incorporating science and tech.
I just also want to shout out that Shermaine left these really beautiful lapel pins in the back. If you guys didn't see them, there's a big bin over there on top of the bar. You should help yourselves to one because they're really beautiful.
Yes, go off to that.
Thank you for bringing those.
Follow us on Instagram.
For me, I guess as a researcher, science is my day in and day out. So a college program, since we're a research program, primarily everything that we do is grounded in scientific evaluation of our practices, to try and find ways that we can optimize the outcomes, basically, whether that be seeing how we can best grow the corals faster, to be healthier, understanding the underlying biology of the coral as well, not just looking at do they grow and survive, but what is their health like as well. We're also then understanding if and how we can select more resilient parents, because we're aware, that climate is changing and there are many stresses that the corals are facing. So that's just a few of the research questions we're asking, the science that we're conducting at Coronage program. We also go beyond the propagation and outplanting of asexual reproduction and understanding how our activities can be complemented, or how they can complement natural reproduction and sexual reproduction. So understanding the quality of the larvae of the corals that we're growing in our nurseries, if and how propagating them impacts them later in life. So really trying to apply these research questions to a holistic understanding of the long-term outcomes of any type of reef restoration, because whilst we can get stuck in the nitty-gritty of science questions, we also need to take that step back and understand the bigger picture and the long-term outcomes, because we don't want to be doing this forever. It's not the idea, The idea is to build self-sustaining resilient reefs into the future. So that's something as well that really drives a lot of the research questions we're asking. And then for technology, we at the University of Technology Sydney in the Future Reefs Lab are working with phenotyping, so developing rapid heat stress tests as ways that we can identify or rank corals in the field, and then hopefully propagate more of those resilient individuals. So it's a really cool piece of technology that has been adapted from originally looking at algae and bioculture of algae and understanding their phenotypes to multi-taxa, so not just coral but also other organisms. So that's how we're integrating technology as well, and I think it's a great space to be in. And passing over to the tech overlords, coral gardeners, it would be great to learn a lot and understand how everyone else is using tech as well. Thanks, Paige.
So I'm at Coral Gardeners, and we do in-water propagation of resilient corals that we select from natural reefs and replant back onto areas that we deem can be and should be restored. And our methodology is based on best available knowledge, so that includes local, cultural, and scientific knowledge to set a base methodology. We work in different regions. So we're based in French Polynesia, and we have an operation in Fiji and in Thailand. And so as much as possible, we're trying to set a methodology that works across all of our regions. So how it works is we have a set of instructions, and then if there are things that people come up with ideas, let's try this might work better, this isn't really working here. They go into the R&D bin, and then it's my job as Director of Science and Restoration to organize the experiments or the collaborators or whoever we need to draw in to address those questions, to answer that problem. And then if it improves what we're doing, we push it out across all of our branches as much as possible. So it's an evergreen methodology that's always improving. So we have something, but we're always looking for scientific input to make it better all the time. And as far as our tech goes, so Coral Gardeners I think is a little bit unique in that we have a whole tech department. So CG Labs is our Coral Gardener Labs, and this is engineers, computational analysts, scientists, AI experts, a whole tech team from very senior positions. These folks in Silicon Valley decided that they weren't fulfilled making self-driving cars or getting your ad information to sell you more stuff that you don't need on the internet through apps. And they decided to work for good. And so we've got a team of people working on a whole system to scale up what we're doing. And so our system is really based on a Reef OS system, it's called, and it's standardizing everything we do with tools to make it easier for the gardeners. And the gardeners are local people in each of those places who tell us, as scientists and engineers, what they need. So we don't tell them what we have, they tell us what they need, and we go and figure out a way to improve or address that question. So we've got a system where we enter our data directly into an app that we use in underwater, so the data is entered directly. And it's all the statistics and the analysis and the understanding about what needs to be sampled and how it needs to be sampled is already programmed in. So anyone who can use a smartphone, which is pretty much everybody, and even some dogs, I'm told, but anyway, can use this app. So it's really making this kind of high level of restoration available to anybody, because it's the local people who may or may not have advanced degrees in engineering, why would they, but they know their local place, right? They're really the experts in that place, can use this app to participate in a broad, standardized restoration program across which we can draw inferences for global reef restoration, for example. So there's a standardized data entry that makes standardized data. It also eliminates the slate. You know, you write on a slate and then you have to try and read what you wrote and you can't read it, and then you have to try and enter it, and on and on. So we've eliminated that step, which has increased what we're doing. So it takes 1/10 of the time to do our monitoring, which means we can do 10 times more. So everything is about making it more efficient. And then our valuation of the ecosystem recovery, because we're not just recovering coral, right? We're recovering the whole ecosystem. And so we have AI cameras that can detect the fish communities, so that we're using that as our metric. Is the community recovering, or what's the community doing? We can look at the fish community example. So we have AI cameras that do that. The camera has low light sensors, so we can get dawn and dusk when really all the action happens. We've also got stereoscopic, so we can get a size of the fish, so that we can get population structure. And then we have hydrophones, so we can listen at night, and then we collaborate with the University of California, Santa Barbara for eDNA, so we can look at this biodiversity metric to see like how, given all these different ways we could measure our response, what's the best one, and are we having the effect that we want? And because the data is so quickly and rapidly uploaded from the app, when you hit the air, you enter your information in the water, you hit the air, it's immediately uploaded, analyzed, and mapped. So the manager can look at that and say, oh, this is working or this isn't working, and change direction or do an intervention really quickly. So it's all about making it easy and efficient for people in the water, standardizing the data so that we can understand across large scales what's happening and make that data comparable, and then being able to respond quickly and make it more efficient for the folks in the water who are really the heroes of Coral Gardeners to do their work. And so that's how Coral Gardeners is approaching this. We also do a lot of communication, which is another, it's not tech, science and tech, but it's really important for getting the support to support the work that we do, because a lot of our fundraising comes from that. Thank you.
May. I think I listening with the amazing ladies that I
field. This is like kind of application, and we all actually do the education and scientific, I think, and the process of the explore the question and try to solve it in any angle. Like my duty is actually back to really fundamental knowledge, like to contribute for the graduate students. So it's kind of like that if we call the level of technology, is that not the application, but we are serving this kind of people, like to build up the basic knowledge. Like I think you girls do the master class, it's been like that. So building your solid, your thinking, the way of thinking, the process that how is scientific should be start, and then you because my faculty is actually no undergrad student, it's only the program of the master and the PhD. So we mostly focus on the research and just different interests of the science. We have many expertise of the supervisor, you can say that, but we try to build the younger leaders in environmental, in the ocean leaders, but before that, they need to think integrate for each expertise. Even if they're not own professional in that. For example, I give you example of I was doing kind of ecological work before when I was 20, but we actually need to know the process of the ocean. We need to know the oceanography. We need to know how the value transportation. We need to know every hydrodynamics or even what else in the reef, the fishes, the living organisms, but integrate it into your own expertise that we are building of the students. And then that basic knowledge is quite deep in each subject. But before going to the technological level of the application, I think that is important between these to grab from the science. And we use technology as a tool, like let the student know how to use each kind of tool. For example, the GIS remote sensing, the AI also, like train people can learn it, but this is as a tool how to use them in terms of your focus. And I really love your explain about how to the restoration project, like even active or passive. I think people also need to understand total of the picture that people always do. Some people like do the action with lacking of the understanding that we can see in many countries. That's a problem. So that's it. I think our duty to help them to understand before going to any action or application. So that's the thing I'm familiar with.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I think all of us could, I think all of us are aware that this is a very vulnerable moment in the history of the oceans. And it's also a very interesting time to be alive and be a scientist, because this space of conservation science is growing and the space of tech is growing at such an unbelievably rapid pace. And so our challenge is to try to make sure that our development keeps pace with what we learn about losses and how to keep these ecosystems stable. So my next question is, what's the most exciting thing about your work right now, and what's the hardest?
I can say that every guy the new pattern and any problem, any trouble that is on the way of learning that I always excited even now. And with this ambience, we always learn and teach each other. So that's already that excited of my journey. The hard work is so difficult. I don't know if you use the heart. I mean, it's as a challenge. Yeah, but challenge and pushing up us to do something like bigger, stronger when you're passing that hard. So, but I don't want you to feel that is hard, but it's just a challenge that we need to pick up and stand over that and then feel free. That's it, with the positive thing. Thank you.
I think the most exciting thing the most exciting thing is for me is taking action. That's really exciting. I came to program 2 years ago, and previous to that I worked in universities and government, which are. Is this one better? Yeah. Okay. So taking action, finally taking action. I worked in academia and government before, which are very slow to be able to pivot. And in an organization, an NGO, like programs, we can pivot and we find something that we can pivot, and that's very exciting to be actually doing something and seeing the result almost instantly in the world time. I think the most frustrating thing is being up against an enemy or an obstacle, if you will, that we don't know. It's unpredictable. What climate change is going to bring for us is really impossible to know, and we knew it was coming, but we didn't know how it was going to play out. And I think that's really, it's unpredicted, and it's really scary because we're trying to save or restore this habitat in the face of we don't know what's coming. And so to be able to prepare for that is daunting because you don't know exactly what's coming. I think that's really hard. And so when we see an outbreak of crown of thorns that is lasting longer than any other has, that's really hard, frustrating. We don't know how to deal with that. So it's an opportunity to come up with a tool or to address it. But heat waves are getting more frequent, and all sorts of things are happening in the planet. So I think that's the hardest part, is trying to hope that we can still manage to have successes in the face of what's coming, which is unknown for us. I think that's hard.
I agree with that one. I think for me, there are many exciting things in mind.
What?
With our research that we're doing, we're looking into new avenues, so things like microfragmentation, working with different species that we haven't worked with before, which personally is really exciting. And then maybe on a more personal level is the opportunity to mentor and supervise more students. So as an early career researcher, I'm getting more opportunities to be in that position to facilitate people through their own PhDs, honours, masters. So for me that's really heartwarming because it's a very rewarding part of being in academia, is being able to mentor those people and be the person. I mean, I was very lucky to have amazing PhD supervisors, but also to be the person that I'm glad you had or wish you had in that time. So that's super exciting. And also opportunities to have more collaborations into the future is something that makes me really excited as well about working with Coroners program, being in this role, and I feel really grateful to be able to build those relationships and have those meaningful connections with local communities, the people that live and depend on their livelihoods and the health of the reefs. The hardest thing I would say for me at the moment is just trying to find enough time to do everything. I wear many hats in my role, and also I just like to take on many things. So it's always a juggle, but it's always worthwhile. But yeah, that's for me. I guess I was thinking climate change and that uncertainty of the future, but building on that as well as finding the time to factor it all in. You want to be an activist, you want to do research, you want to be out there on the ground. Exactly. So it's easy to get ahead of yourself and try to take it all on. But yeah, it's really rewarding being here and knowing, every time people like this come together, understanding there's so many people out there who are super passionate and doing everything they can to make a difference. It's also really nice.
Most exciting thing, I think I find my work like there's quite a lot of exciting things to look forward to. I think one of the things that really makes me very eager to go to work every day is just being able to be in a space where there are just so many different disciplines and expertise to learn from. I mean, conservation is a multidisciplinary work. Like you can't just have scientists working, you need engineers, you need vets, you need etc. And I think for me to be in a space where we have the lab support system, people who can help put together the tanks that we need to run experiments, or just having the animal welfare people and the behavioral science people who know how to look out for the health of an animal, or the vets who can do procedures and any other rehabilitation work, animal care team who can do the breeding and husbandry, the research team who can design the experiments. I think for me it's just so exciting to see so many people from different disciplines come together to push for a cause that we all feel strongly about. And I think that it's wonderful that our organization is very energetic and ready to just open our doors to anyone who would like to use the resources that we have. I think the hardest thing is that even though we have all these different areas that we are looking to contribute in, it's difficult because it's still a huge paradigm shift in the way of thinking, both internally and externally, like moving from what we were before to what we hope to become. And it's going to be a long journey ahead. And I think that despite we've been pouring a lot of resources into investing into our capacities and our capabilities of pushing for conservation work, there's still a lot of work that still needs to be done to make this shift.
Yeah, so for reefs, I would say the most exciting thing at the moment is that we are just got a fund that allows us to onboard a model for a reef regeneration hub that we hopefully can apply in other regions as well, and that's including locally owned and run production facility, which is already operating. So that was a huge milestone for us, and it's super exciting that the people just took it on in Mathinee in the Philippines and are running this production. It's also connected to a social enterprise that's actually digging out the clay from the ground and refining it. So it's like a whole bunch of people in the community that now does this, and cope as well. And then further, that it also gives us the opportunity to find alternative livelihood solutions in co-creation with the fishing folk. So it's like what we started, it's pretty new. We started with it just this year, and what we're doing first is really listening to the people, what they want and what they already know and what they can do. And I think Hanna said also very nicely that local knowledge and wisdom is key. Those are the people that live there for generations, and they really know the area, and they also really know what's beneficial for them. And there's so many, let's say, alternative livelihood solutions introduced often by the local governmental units, like for example, telling the fishing people, hey, I give you 100 chicken, now you got to produce X, but they don't ask, no? They don't know, do the people want to do that? Do they want to change their life to become chicken farmers? No, maybe not. So what we're trying to do is really, co-creating and learning from them what's needed and what they really want to do, and then find solutions, find funds, start writing business models together, and really finding out what could be a future not relying on solely fishing for their livelihoods. So that's one thing, and we're really trying to integrate the reef building system that we developed into these programs. Doesn't have to be on this, no? There can be many different solutions, but it's part of it. And then the most challenging, there are so many challenges, I would say. Nowadays, fundraising is really hard. I also can really relate to what Hanna and scary that we all have to deal with. And then especially for us, because we are putting solid structures underwater, is the permitting. It's like, I mean, it's the same as we want to build a house. We need to get governmental permits, and underwater it's even trickier. More tricky. So yeah, that's my biggest hurdle at the moment.
Awesome. I love how immediately the question got changed from what's the hardest thing to what's the biggest challenge. It just shows that you guys are in a mindset of rising to those challenges, and of course you are. You're up here. You're doing this work on behalf of the whole planet, basically, and it's sometimes thankless, and it's always challenging, and it's also deeply rewarding. And we're, as humanity, we're lucky to have so many people in this room who are rising to the challenge of this moment. I wanted to ask you guys, what piece of knowledge or technology is the most urgently needed thing right now, in your opinion? We'll start with me.
It's actually in different areas. It's need, they're facing through the different local problems. So that's why we're trying to find the way of solving by communicate with them firstly, what they want, as you said, what like really people, do they really understand what is, what do they feel the life is changed, the climate is changed, or they just feel like, no, it's nothing of my life, I just like do the daily life, something like that. That is the first thing that we need to explore. That's why that is the word of community engagement. That we need to step out from our comfort zone and talk with them. And then we can grab the question or the problem, any trouble or of their complaining, and then focus on, okay, this is the thing that we would like to target. And then process is to collaborate for other support, for let them talk together with the government, for example. And then if any academic can help, or any NGO or any organization, so just bring them together. And that is the need, and the need from the locals. That's the importance for the research also. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I would say that the piece of knowledge that we need is for everyone on the planet to understand what's happening in the oceans, for collective knowledge and understanding, because I think actually the most important thing that we can all do for the ocean and the planet is vote. And if you don't have the issues, if you don't understand the issues that are affecting your area or the planet generally, you may not have those issues in mind when you cast your ballot for people who are going to put economics or whatever they're going to put as their priority. So I think the knowledge of what's happening, and so like was said, to get the information out there, I think that's really, really super important to be able to do that. And the tech, and I actually think, and I'm saying this in pro-gardeners, I don't think there's a tech silver bullet. I think that we need to respect Mother Nature. Mother Nature's got the solutions if we let her do them, if we give her the space to do them. So I think we need to leave the habitats alone a bit more. There are tools and technologies that can help what we're doing and scale up and be more efficient in our work, but there's no silver bullet out there, tech or science, that's going to restore the coral reefs. We've got to enable Mother Nature to do her work, I think. And so that's not really a tech tool, that's a non-tech tool. That's like understanding what we're working with. It is not something that's just going to respond to one tool or one invention.
I think I might build off of that. I think it's those nature-based solutions, right? So it's the piece of knowledge is potentially figuring out what is the least we need to do to ensure that reefs can be the most resilient.
I love that. We should write that down. What is the least we can do to make reefs resilient?
because we know they have that innate resilience within populations, across species, functionally. There's a lot of redundancy as well. So we are of the understanding that reefs will fundamentally change into the future under the pressures that we put them under. But if we could sustain the very basis of what they are, what they provide culturally, economically, all of those different things that they can provide, if we could do the least we can to ensure that they can persist into the future. And I think it's the $1 million question, right? What is, how do we find the most resilient? How do we make those decisions? That's a really big question. But I think a lot of people are working to address it and find answers. So hopefully we can get there.
I think there's space for both, but I think that preventive, technology that aids in the prevention of certain threats or whatnot is might be more important than the mitigation technologies. I think that it's a lot more costly to treat a disease than to prevent it in the first place. I think if a lot of mitigating strategies can be difficult, can be expensive, can be extremely difficult to scale up to use in all different parts of the world. But I think and there's a lot of work already been done, like preventive and monitoring technologies like satellite remote sensing or underwater rovers or drones to analyze how the reef structures are changing, how's the temperature of the sea changing. I think that if we are able to monitor, it will save us a lot of cost and whatnot in needing to mitigate when the challenge comes.
Yeah, super hard question, but I can very much relate to what Paige just said. I think it's crucial to find out what is the minimum we need to sustain to buy more time and space for nature to recover. And that's not what we are doing at the moment, right? What we are doing is basically first aid for the ocean. There's a lot of things in mitigation that have to change all over the planet, like in the economy, in how we use energy, how we consume. So it's really a global issue, and what we can do as individuals is like addressing the local specificities. So this is, I think, why we're all working in that field, because we see we can have an impact here, but we also need politics and we need society to change. And we are all aware of that, but it's super hard because humans are, how do you say? I wouldn't say we are lazy, but we are like, I missed the English word, Gewohnheitstiere. Who's German here today?
What's the word in German?
Gewohnheitstiere.
Oh, well, we are used to do things always a certain way.
Yeah, we need a very long time to change and adapt. That's what I meant to say. And even though we also need to experience severe things to change, right? So yeah, that's a hard thing. But like on the tech side, I would say what we need right now is really just go into the areas that have the need, and the other areas I would agree that we need to protect them and make sure that the protection is reinforced, but still create alternative livelihood solutions because people are depending on those areas and we cannot completely close them, right? So we need to find solutions if we want to close the area completely. And then in the areas that need the regeneration and rehabilitation, it's needed to find solutions that are scalable and affordable and that can run on a community-based approach. That's what I personally believe.
Once again, all your answers kind of teed up the next question. So the next one is, what is something about ocean science or the ocean that you feel like everyone on Earth should know? And I want to challenge you to be a little bit more specific this time because, yeah, we should know about climate change and stuff like that, but is there something specific in your work you feel like it's really important for everyone to know that people don't currently know? Nate?
People should know. I think that it's hard question. But it's my idea that if I would like people to know is, okay, we have, you can learn a lot of techniques of we have a lot of tools, a lot of data. Many tools, actually the advanced is really advanced until like very simple, the sensor to check water quality for example, and just try to use it and integrate it with try to simplify it to the thing that you would to reach out with the people. Because I think we become not lack of any sustainable or any, like you said, the communities, if they can run by themselves for longer, for more like sustain, you need to build them up. So like try to integrate everything and then simplify to people's lives, to make support, to let them like more well-being, something like that. That will be the sustain. In any angle, I think in the ocean, on the mainland, for like people living in the forest, people living in like close to the ocean, because it's the thing that they need in the daily life. I'm not sure if that answers the question. Yeah.
The question is, what is something you wish everyone knew about ocean science or technology? I really stumped you guys. Sorry. I can answer however you want. I don't need to stick to the question. I guess I would say there's a few things that sort of line up, and one is how much we don't know, how much fun it is to discover those things, and how much we're underfunded. And I think that those things, if you line them up, might encourage people to join the fields and devote their lives to like learning and protecting the ocean. And also for people with extra money lying around and governments who need to step up to fund that work. So that's what I would say. How much we don't know, how fun it is to work in this field, and how much you're underfunded. Agreed on all fronts.
I maybe can't narrow it down to one, but maybe two. And not necessarily directly related to my research or work, but I think people need to know that reef restoration isn't going to save the coral reefs. A lot of people come, they hear about what we're doing, and they say, great, you've got it all covered, you know, like I don't need to do anything. And I think people need to understand it comes down to them, and it sort of leads into the next thing is, you know, people that aren't close to reefs or don't know about coral reefs, don't know about the things that are happening. We need to educate them, and I just hope we can get to them and make them understand how much their day-to-day life depends on the health of coral reefs and our oceans. So they might never see a coral reef in their life, so they might never think about how important it is that we're protecting them, how we are mitigating climate change and making those efforts to protect our oceans into the future. But I just hope that we can get to more people and make them understand that their life depends on it as well, and then maybe we can inspire more change.
I think this is sort of the tech part, but I think the thing that comes to mind is that a lot of people like seem to find technology as this like very daunting thing, but I feel like there's a lot of very accessible, very user-friendly like technology like apps and whatnot that really reduces the manpower need for data collection or like just to like do surveys. Like for example, in Singapore, I think 2 apps that have been developed is, so one of them is called the Fin Finder, and it basically allows you to ID like the species of a shark based on its fin, and it saves a lot of time. Like it saves fishermen who may not have the knowledge of like species ID and whatnot a lot of time to go and flip through the books, and custom officers can save time as well. I think that there's a lot of room to like incorporate these kinds of accessible, affordable, and user-friendly apps into citizen science work, for example, as well, which really then advocates and gives everybody the platform and the sense that they are really contributing in a meaningful manner using such like tech that makes it a lot easier and lower like barriers to entry.
Yeah, okay, there's many things already said, like educational part, politics, the funding. I can relate to all of that, to the technical part of citizen science. But what comes to my mind is actually, I think people should know there is no time for ego. I think we really need to work as a collective, and that doesn't mean that we all need to do the same things. There's so many good approaches out there, and they can be combined, or there's also so much knowledge now in some areas. Maybe this method is going to work well, the other one will not. So what I wish for is like that we are more open sourcing and more talking to each other, and then really build this meaningful collaboration that we can all, maximize the impact that we have for the ocean.
Yeah, when I was a baby scientist, it's hard to describe how different the culture was. It was data hoarding, only the most basic collaborations that you needed to get your work done. People didn't share their ideas with others. I've been overjoyed to watch this culture change over the course of my career, and obviously in this crisis moment, we really need all hands on deck, and we really need all of our different minds put together and all of our different tools and resources put together if we want to, protect these critical ecosystems. So the next question is, what are you guys doing in your work right now with collaboration, and what are your future plans around the idea of collaboration?
I guess you hear that already from what I'm saying. So for us, collaboration is absolutely key. And my work is actually done when I can go and leave an area and see that it's like self-sufficient and that the people really took on the ownership, start creating their own ideas, and that I'm not needed anymore. This is the eventual goal, and for us it's super crucial that we can provide the knowledge and tech transfer, but also to really learn from the others and understanding the needs, what I also already said. So I think without collaboration it's impossible to do a lasting impact, and also without creating this amazing community, what's also happening here. So that's, I think, for me the most crucial things regarding collaboration.
Thank you. I think that collaboration with a huge range of stakeholders is just so important. I think that when you are formulating a conservation plan for a species, there's so many different parts to it. There's the assessments, and then there's the planning, and then there's the acting, and each of them has different needs and different expertise that is needed. Just to give like an example, one of the focus species in our aquarium is the horseshoe crab, and for us, most of the work is in like the assessment space. So through citizen science and monitoring like some of the beaches in Singapore for the horseshoe populations, or running ex situ studies on their feeding and their diet. We're also starting up a tagging program for the horseshoe crabs in Singapore. So that's on the assessment side. And for each of them, we're like interacting with different people. Like there's researchers from universities, then there's also the citizen scientists, communities, the volunteers. So I think that they all play a different role. And then of course in the planning segment, for example, I think a few years ago we hosted the IUCN horseshoe crab planning workshop, and then for that also involved so many different kinds of people and from different backgrounds and the experts in horseshoe crabs. And then from there, we want to align whatever work we're doing with the international community such that it amplifies the efforts and the impact that we all can make together. And then lastly, of course, ACT, which eventually we hope that we can, if there's a need to rewild the Singapore beaches with horseshoe crabs, and that would then involve a whole different set of stakeholders and just communities.
At Coral, the program for collaboration has been the foundation of everything from the start. So we were born as a partnership between researchers and tourism operators on the Great Barrier Reef. We have consultation with traditional owners of the sea country that we were working in as well. More recently, we have been developing those collaborations with the traditional owners, which has been really rewarding. And it's a key part of what we do when we're sort of stepping onto that land that is not belonging to us, and we can help hopefully increase the stewardship that can be done on their sea country and our local communities. So it's something as well that's at the forefront of the future of the program, where we hope to continue building those relationships, the existing ones, to ensure that we can foster that legacy of connection, but also building international connections as well. We recently took part in a workshop in Palau where we have helped to train, again, more traditional owners, local sea rangers, with the tools that they need to implement restoration activities at their sites. So it's something that is really at the heart of what we do in terms of collaborating with local communities, but also as well with scientists around the world. So really privileged to be under Associate Professor Emma Camp, who's the leader of Coronet's program, who has many connections around the world and has lots of projects, ongoing projects with international researchers and local NGOs and communities as well. So for Coronet's program, it's everything that we do, basically.
All right, at Coral Gardeners, honestly, collaboration is increasingly a part of what we've done, but as an organization that started 8-10 years ago by a bunch of island kids, surfers, the people on Moorea, the scientists, were not willing to collaborate with Coral Gardeners. And Moorea has a University of California research center that's been there for 40 years. It has a French CNRS lab, International French Scientist Lab. So there's a lot of research and a lot of knowledge on this small island. And Coral Gardeners is there too, but the scientists were not willing to share or to help Tufan and his buddies when they first started Coral Gardeners. Luckily and thankfully, that's changed. The organization has grown. Tufan recognized he's not a scientist. He never pretended that he was, so he hired someone. He finally got big enough to be able to hire some scientists. And so now we have, as I see that, we have scientists on staff and engineers and people, and so we're building those connections, but we hope to break down the barriers between academia and NGO restoration, because it's really been quite a big barrier. It's been like a brain block for a lot of people to not do that. I don't know why. But anyway, I think that's changing across the globe, luckily. So because marine science is very complicated, and nobody's an expert in everything. And so people will spend their whole lives and careers studying one single thing, and there's no way that you would be an expert in that thing. So you have to find those people who know what the issue is and the issue you're having, and collaborate with them, and they have to be open to do that. So I think it's a two-way thing of respect for the knowledge that goes into the studies that people have done for their entire careers, and then the willingness to share that with organizations who are trying to use that to meet their mission.
The marine science, like introvert stuff. the introverts like don't want to talking with the people. That's the only one factor. But well, in my opinion, kind of collaboration. I think all of you guys also see the same thing. It's the sharing, like sharing whatever that you have in your own and you gain from the others, and bridging together from different areas, different level, policy maker, and the locals. That I think that is the collaboration in my come to my mind. So recently I give you like different level example. Like I know the COSNAP citizen science is also from Sydney. The one that I have known him, but I didn't collaborate him, but I heard the story of they use only one capture. It's called COSNAP application. That they use technology for the citizen science. People go and capture the photo like they make the DIY, the stand up on the beach, or even the mountain, just to monitoring the change of the coastal over time, but design for any people can do that. That is so simple and amazing, and you can gain any collaboration with even the fishermen or the kids also can, and then sending to that application. Just like try to simplify very advanced to reach many people. That's level that we always call the citizen science, and many projects want to do like that. So, but the people that create is the data science and engineering, computer science together from the Sydney University of or something. Yeah, okay. You can check it the postnat. But that is the successful case, and then they share that accumulation of the 100,000 photos comes, and that is quite big data and global data is from many spots of the world. That's the case I would like to share. And the collaboration in my level, what I'm going to do now, I can say that when I was young, when I was a student, it's like you said, that I'm not sure the generation is passing to something that more sharing, more reaching out of the people, but before that, marine scientists is just create their own kingdom and working and just keep on only in the lab, in their own community, especially in coral society. I think because I met many the coral lab in academics, they have their own expertise and try to work with even the same project, but just to collaborate with each other. So the thing is, passing to this generation, I think is more like we try to work together. I can say that, and I feel. And right now in Thailand, we have ever no data of the coral connectivity in the view of we have the Andaman Sea, the Gulf Thailand, we have monitoring status of the world, status of the reef along the coastline, but no any data of coral connectivity until now. And people work on it, I think more than I was born, maybe longer, 30 years, 40 years. Why there is no any data? I think that is because of this work. The collaboration, the bigger collaboration that makes the impact of our country. I mean, so now what I'm trying to do with the teams, meaning that different team from different universities, from different level of organization to communicate with the policy makers. Like we try to reach them the top level also, even like but they always have very short time to talk with you. So that is people on the leader need to negotiate them and let them realize this is the important, the priority. How you gonna do the restoration work without really this knowledge? And please pay attention with us. Please listen to scientists, and then we come up with a project that we call mapping of coral connectivity, which is we need the jigsaw of hydrodynamics, the model, the whatever validate those kind of stuff that I didn't know that the physical oceanography. We need the bio, the ecologies, how is the pattern of the coral. Or we don't know until now the recruitment of this reef or that reef. Is there any relation or they are we call population genetics, connectivity like that. Come up with the if we would like to get the result of the mapping, the final result, then we need this kind of jigsaw a lot. So gathering with that is my job right now, with this kind of collaboration and with the NGO also, because the government has lack of the power of manwork, I can say that. So we need the diving center to help them also. Each site, if you try to install the settlement plate for coral recruitment to see the pattern, that is the validation of the data. So we also need this jigsaw. We also need the jigsaw of the economic part. How you make the decision or policymaker decide where to throw the money on this risk or this risk, or how, like the priority of the MPA. They can't do it everywhere. So I think it's our duty to prioritize for them. But that prioritize is need to be like a dashboard of, okay, this is how much money I need to throw it, I need to restore, or I need to protect it in this, create this marine spatial planning or whatever for the management. And that's the thing that we need to get the final result for them. Maybe only one page they can read. They will not read the scientific paper or technical report, whatever. Yeah, that's it to grab their money.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I think collaboration is so fundamental to the work that we do. I love the jigsaw metaphor because there's so many different pieces involved in implementing this work, from data collection, which we can collaborate with, local indigenous knowledge, local hobbyists who love to collect data for citizen science programs, all the way through to actually delivering outcomes and deploying things in the field and monitoring things in the field. There's so many different types of knowledge and types of work involved that, collaboration is the means and the end. I think the more and deeper we can do that, the better all of our work is going to be. So I'm really happy to hear everybody having that very deeply embedded from the
Can we hear from the others if they would like to share? I don't know if you have any idea in your challenging.
Yeah, does anybody want to share how you're using collaboration in your work to make it better, stronger together? It's after lunch. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about women. We're here at this women's conference. I don't know about you guys, but this is the first time I've been at an only women event this large. It's amazing, and that everybody's working in the same sphere of marine conservation is so beautiful to have this sisterhood. And yeah, the vibes have been amazing. By the way, just watching everybody being so open and comfortable with each other. And, I can't say I've ever experienced a conference like this, and I think there's a part of being female that creates a special space, and that's why we wanted to keep it women only. And I want to hear what you think is unique about the female voice, what the female voice can bring to science and technology. Who would like to start? It's another hard question. It's okay, you can run with it however you want. This is very informal.
I think what makes us as females a bit different or special is that we have, and I think as I said before also, that we have this nourishing, caring nature. And what we realized in the startup world, I mean, we're operating since 5 years now, is that we are slightly more careful. But it really paid off for us. So I think also as a scientific voice, we need to address that we need to stay authentic. Of course, we need to call things as they are. And it's really hard to stay positive with all the challenges that we have, and also with the climate change that we a big hurdle that we eventually cannot solve by ourselves. and then collaborate with other experts to find solutions.
I think that there are very practical ways that the female voice speaks into conservation issues, especially those that are very gender specific. Like, I think one example that comes to mind is the illegal wildlife trade. Within the supply and the demand chain, females and males have different roles to play. For example, on the demand side, you have like some of the products, like maybe like the shark tooth, like that kind of things, are more appealing to males because I guess it exudes masculinity and whatnot. But then on the female side, maybe products like beauty and wellness speaks out more to the females. And I think that as females ourselves, there is that connection, there is that like understanding of these consumption habits or behavior that we have a voice to speak into. And of course then eventually like change the consumption habits and the thinking and the mindsets behind both the supply and the demand side of the females in the industry.
I think something that females are very good at or bring a lot to the table is overthinking. But it's something that we can play to our strengths as well because, you know, we think very deeply about everything we do, we think a lot about what the outcomes might be, and then we can integrate something that I think is quite feminine as well as creativity. So we bring in our creativity into overthinking and then all of a sudden, you know, we have all of these amazing ideas and we're that stubborn that we're going to bring them into fruition. So I think it can be seen as a negative sometimes, you know, overthinking can bring a lot of negativity sometimes into your thinking, but if we use it to our strength, then it can be our superpower.
I agree, and I would add maybe a couple other things. I think women are very good at team playing as a team, and you see that in sports, actually. Women will play as a team, and men are a little bit more like, I'll go until I can't, and then I'll pass it, and okay. So I think the team collective movement together is one thing that we bring, and multitasking. Women are very good at multitasking, and I think that enables us to see sort of a bigger picture about what's going on and then incorporate those different angles, all of which are important for the work that we're doing.
Also, the advantage is the details. It's thoughtful into the detail that I think help a lot with any project that you need to manage. Such a messy things that it just put the right man to the right job. I think it is like do the effective of your own. And I actually when I work since like I think I died with the marine with the coral reef around 20 years. In Thailand we didn't feel much the pressure of between male and female. But when I work at the southern, it's different culture. I can say that when I come to work at the southern, that always be like similar with Indonesia and Malaysia, and with the women, the society that women is quite a bit within the some zone. I think it's similar with Indonesian because it's the most parents that really care about you a lot. Whenever you want to step abroad or do something like man work, man job, whatever, like that is the culture, I think. But then I feel that okay, then sometimes I need to deal with the local, really local that doesn't accept me as a leader. That's a bit difficult. But we always try to be negotiation. I think this is the advantage of the woman also, and being like okay, more polite, compromise, and then negotiation, and then that's it. I think that you just need to know what your position you are, and then try to make it smoothly, flexible. That will help you a lot to reach your aims. And I think the voice is just. I think from this ambience, I feel that okay, this is awareness that we have a chance. We transfer a chance to others. That's it.
Amazing, thank you so much. I just want to open the floor now for any questions you guys have. We only have a few minutes left, and just anything in the sphere of science or technology, anything related to the work of women. Raise your hand. Talia!
Mentality on how to deal with
being a baby scientist and all of the insecurities. Let me know if I'm getting this wrong, but what I understood is that you want to know a little bit about the right mentality to have as a young scientist that facilitates you navigating a world of a lot of pressure, a lot of ego, a lot of new information that you don't have full grasp on because you're a baby. All right?
Okay, I'll take a shot at it. I guess I would say that you should probably be respectful that science is based on discoveries that happen, like it builds on itself. So you need a healthy respect of understanding literature and the work and where the field is at, right? Because you won't come in and know more. You have to be respectful of all the work that's gone into the current state of knowledge. But at the same time, trust yourself and be confident in your abilities because you have something to add to that for sure. So you need to do your homework, right? But then you have something new to bring because there's so much that we don't know, and you are just as likely to discover the next thing as anybody else. And so trust yourself, trust your abilities, know that you can do it. You can do anything you want. If you put your mind to it, you have to just want it and then act on that desire. So I guess it's what I'd say.
I was going to say something very similar. I think it's having trust in yourself. You've got this far already. Any idea you have is going to be a valid idea. It's not just built off of no background or experience. But I think as well, for me, having a mentor or someone that you can bounce an idea off is also super valuable. So sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes you do have that trust in yourself that this is a great idea, but sometimes, you know, you can go to someone and they can just bolster that feeling for you, and they can say, actually, yeah, that's really great, let's talk about it together, let's develop this idea, let's see where we can take it. Or they might give you a reality check as well, which is just as valuable, you know, when, you know, they might know someone has already done that already, or actually maybe there's something more valuable to pursue, but I think just that trust in yourself, and it comes over time, you know, it's always a work in progress for everyone, no matter how many years of experience you have, but yeah, believing that you're here for a reason, you've done a lot of hard work already, and those ideas that you're having, they're not just coming out of thin air, they're coming based off of all of the hard work that you've done up to this point. Thank you.
Does anybody else in the audience have any questions for the science panel?
It's okay, I can help. So all of you work in different countries in the world, and we talked about how, you know, the changes and the policies don't come from, you know, it has to come up from the top, right? So can I know, with the science that you're doing, how is your government reacting to the work that you're putting out? Is it positive? Are they making policy changes? Are they, you know, taking note? Yeah, that was my question.
Great, who wants to take this one?
Okay.
There's variety of case, but I can say that to make them we are the one that need to change it. But they will realize. But we need a lot of people, like we need to make the higher impact and to know what they want. Like I give an example that they always have very little time and just to fit the benefit with them, but and then I'll say just like we working like but to show them and they will realize, but you need the people on the middle also to negotiate, I think, for the policy maker.
Does anybody else want to answer? How do you, we have Paige, Australia. Australia is the beacon of bureaucratic difficulty on a global scale.
I guess from our experience, it's been quite difficult dealing with the Marine Park Authority. We have a respect and understanding that for such an icon as the Great Barrier Reef, there needs to be policy in place to protect it. And what we're up against is sort of really working very hard to convince people that what we're doing has a value and that it's essential to be proactive rather than reactive. And they seem to be working from a very old document that is basically centering around doing as little impact as possible, which means as little proactive activities as possible. So for us, it's a constant battle. There are a lot of sort of lobbying organisations, organisations that are working to generate policy change, which hopefully will trickle down to us. And I think we do try to communicate with those people and sort of bridge the gap, but it is something that we haven't necessarily excelled at Providence program. It's building those connections so we can also incite policy change. But we do have those internal conversations with the Marine Park Authority, which is a governmental organisation, but not necessarily the organisation that's going to make policy change on emissions and things like that. So it's working with other organisations that are making those actions. It is sort of as much as we can do at this point, and we keep trying to convince them that we're doing a good thing and it's got value. But yeah, I feel like banging your head against a brick wall.
Okay, I think, Hanna, do you want to add first?
Coronavirus works across 3 different countries, and so it's different in each place. In Thailand, for example, we work very closely with the Thai government, and we have a collaboration with them, and so we have
their support with the permits. And so I think, Titania, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're the only restoration group in Thailand who's allowed to touch corals and do restoration because we have this partnership with the government and they oversee our operations. So they trust what we're doing. In French Polynesia, there's been a change in government and the new president is part of the Independence Party and very interested in the local Tahitian people, and because our organization was started by some local kids, he's now very supportive. And so he's very supportive, and he's even proposed, as we've asked, that coral gardening be a respected profession, and maybe he's supporting a coral gardening academy to train people to train in it to have a respected profession that they can pursue to protect the reef around French Polynesia. So that's the sort of different extremes that affect our permit applications. And I will say for French Polynesia, we went and talked to the president. So we made the meeting to talk to him to explain exactly what we're doing because he had sort of heard things, but he didn't know from us. And that was the trigger when he understood what we were really doing, that then became supportive. We still have zero government funding, zero from anybody, but maybe that will change. At least we have the support of the Thai government and now French Polynesian government, and Fiji's been supportive as well.
Okay, thank you so much to our panelists. For all perspectives here, I encourage all of you to take advantage of the fact that we're sharing a space with these ladies and you'll find them afterwards and ask them questions that you can have time to today. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I just wanted to give a quick announcement. If anybody wants to dive on day 3, on the 6th, we're doing a dive visit to our restoration site. We have a couple more spots available. You cannot participate if you're not a certified diver or if you're a part of the workshops that are happening that day. But if you